Hi, this is Penny back again, and we are here to do a session on Amazon, your book description on Amazon. So creating a really great book description. And I am here today with Ms. Amy Cornell, who does all of our book description assessments and feedback for the authors who work with us. So I thought it would be kind of fun to bring her in since she looks at so many of these pages and can really give us some great feedback and insight. Amy, welcome. Thanks for being here.
Thank you. I appreciate it. This is exciting.
So I wanted to start, not to boast, but I wanted to kind of tease y'all about another video that we have coming up. So the 2020 edition of How to Sell Books by the Truckload is up on Amazon right now. And it has held the #1 new release since it was, I want to say, since the 20th of September. Since my birthday. Yay, it was kind of a nice thing. It's held the #1 new release in a variety of categories since then, and it has never lost that little #1 new release flag. It's changed categories and things like that, but the reason I'm mentioning this is because at some point I'm going to do a video, probably it may even already be uploaded by the time you see this, but there is going to be a video about how to release like this. So how to put your book up for pre-order and retain the #1 new release bestseller flag and status throughout the book launch. So the book has been live for just about a week. It'll be a week tomorrow. And like I said, #1 new release flag is always good. It's always recommended to launch your book powerfully out of the gate because it does help your Amazon algorithm. So with that, let's go over to our first book, Amy.
Okay.
A Time of Deception, a Sue Lee mystery. So let me expand this. What do you think? What's your first impression of this book?
So this one, and I will say one of the reasons we chose this author was because they have kind of an abandoned paperback edition flying around on Amazon as well. And so that kind of stood out to us as something that, probably is happening to other people as well. You lose track. This author has a lot of books, and he does have one that's out there that is not connected to anything. But sadly, if a shopper landed on that abandoned paperback edition, they would have no idea. Here we go. Perfect. Thank you. They would have no idea that there's a Kindle people lose interest very quickly on Amazon. There's a lot of distractions. So once you come across something that is not the way it's supposed to be, you kind of have to assume that you've lost that buyer. You can't assume that, well, they'll spend a little more time digging around and find what they need. It's like, that's not realistic. And that's not a good benchmark for you to determine whether or not your book page is really up to par. So I just wanted to point that out real quick. Everybody needs to double check that they don't have abandoned editions out there, especially if you're a really prolific author and have a lot of titles. So this author, I kind of go through, one, I look at everything not just as a marketing person, but as a shopper and a consumer. And so you kind of get an overall vibe when you land on a book page as well. And so that's something to always think about. Put yourself in the buyer's shoes and try to get yourself, out of your own head as the author of that book and all those, personal connections you have to it, and really try to be objective. This is a 2017 title, so we always look at reviews. So definitely this author maybe gave up on really pushing for reviews. Again, he has a lot of titles. So that might be part of it, is that you release new books, you focus on those books, you forget about your backlist titles. That's not a trap you want to fall into. Another thing we look at, his author central account is linked. So that's fantastic. When you click on the author name, you get over to his author central account. You see all the other books he has available. That's a huge bonus. I will say, unfortunately, the author, either they don't have a blog or the blog is not linked. So that's definitely a missed opportunity. As a general rule, these covers are kind of all over the place in regards to branding. And so you don't necessarily see anything consistent that makes you think that these books are by the same person. And that's something you also want to keep in mind. And the longer you publish, you may have earlier books that were a different you when you were a different author. Those are the kind of things you need to think about. Maybe it's time for some cover redos and try to get everything so they're looking like they're from the same author. Yeah, the author did a great job on the biography. It's appropriate for the genres. that he works in. He talks about, he gets personal with the readers, which is great. If you could go back to our book, Penny, that would be helpful.
Yeah.
The description, sadly, is missing a strong opening sentence. There's not really any, it doesn't jump out at you. And that's really one of your big, other than your cover and your title, that first sentence that you have on your page really can make or break whether or not a shopper decides that they want to continue reading. And you have to remember that people scan. So spacing is a big thing. When they see big clumps of text or long paragraphs, just psychologically, it's not something they want to deal with. So breaking up the paragraphs, having strong individual sentences when that makes sense. And we'll see this later in a couple of the books that we cover, using italics and bolding and variations in font size are also really important. Those are all features that Amazon offers, and all of this is free. So, you know, all these great free opportunities, things you don't have to pay for that can help you convert more shoppers to buyers, are all really important features to take advantage of. Let's see, and we'll, at the very end, we'll show a good example of this, but a lot of the books that we cover are not taking advantage of all of the author central opportunities. Like I was just saying, like from the inside flap, from the back cover. These are great ways to work in keywords, just get more information about you out there. Great ways to address other books that you've written. There's lots of examples, and I know Penny's done other videos on that too. So if you missed that video previously, go back through, because there's a lot of really